welcome back to my channel. I know that my last video was a bit more serious in nature, but for today's video I really want it to be a little bit more simplistic, and I want to focus on something that I think a lot of people already might know about, but I want to bring it back to the surface, or at least bring it to the attention of people who don't really know or think about it at the moment. So let's get into it. As you can see from the title of this video will be focused on one problem in particular with mass immigration. I will briefly address some problems and some potential problems, but I really just want to give focus on something that I think really needs to be focused on. Let's get into it. In the last 5 years, there has been record numbers of immigration intake in the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia. These numbers are like nothing we've ever seen before. So why is this happening? Why are our immigration intake numbers so high? Immigration only used to be on a very limited basis. It often only involved importing skilled people into an economy to either fill jobs that really desperately needed to be filled, or simply for the fact that this person had a particular set of skills and or experience that other workers in this country didn't really have at that point in time. You might think that refugees coming from war-torn countries would definitely be the main cause of this. And you have every right to think that way because it kind of makes sense. But the crazy thing is, it's not really. All three of these countries have had much higher intakes of refugees in the past, and the current refugee intake really isn't anything close to these numbers. But that leaves us to the bigger picture, considering migrants in general. There are more and more people coming to these countries for a chance at a better life. They want to improve their financial situation, and they also want to improve their quality of life. But why is the government allowing these numbers to increase? Surely there's got to be something in it for them, right? As I'm sure you're all aware, there are quite a few social problems that come as a result by increasing the immigration intake. A lot of these people from particular countries have somewhat sexist, homophobic attitudes. And I don't mean sexist as in, oh, my traffic lights, but I mean actual, genuine, real sexist. And also exhibit quite antisocial behaviours. This is actually what is currently being experienced in Melbourne at an increasing rate with the African gangs.
Some residents fear they may have to flee their own communities. They're that desperate to escape the daily threat from local thugs and organised crime rings.
Do not bring in so many Sudanese refugees, or we will pay.
So surely there's got to be something in it for the governments of these countries, right? The fact that they are importing more and more of these people, there's really got to be some benefit that comes out of it. Well, legal migrants to these countries often have to be sponsored before they can arrive. They have to already have work lined up for them, or else they will not be eligible for any government assistance or welfare. And they cannot receive any welfare in these countries until they have at least become a citizen. Now this of course is considering legal migrants and not any asylum seekers or refugees. So the fact that these people usually have work lined up for them often means that they are definitely going to start doing work as soon as they arrive in the country. So what does that mean in the scheme of everything? With an unfortunate decreasing birth rate in these countries, the number of people working and paying taxes also decreases. So obviously by increasing the intake of working migrants, the government is able to achieve a quick fix on their budget balances. The more workers there are in an economy, the more the GDP rate increases. So governments are willing to increase the intake of these people, no matter how antisocial their behaviour or the behaviour of their families may be, just simply because it looks much better for them on the economic bottom line. But it's a double-edged sword. When the governments of these countries selfishly focus on a quick fix method of improving their economic bottom line, they're abandoning their efforts on increasing the birth rate in their natural population alone. And as a result, the birth rate actually can decrease even more. When the government doesn't have to increase the incentives to have children, or at least minimise the costs or any other disadvantages that result of having children, they can keep childcare at a monstrously high cost without having to subsidise it. They can increase the cost of people having children in public hospitals, and they can also reduce or totally get rid of any financial incentives that they otherwise would have offered people to have children. Because why would they do this when they can just simply import more workers? You might say that a lot of the people who are coming into these countries will need to have children of their own, so they're going to need incentives to have children as well, right? That's where you're kind of right, but you're also kind of wrong in assuming that it's going to be a problem. Politicians do not care about long-term gains. They want short-term, quick fixes of anything that can look good on the books of when they were in leadership. So if there's ever going to be complaints about an economy that a government can actually control and or fix themselves, they will continue to import more and more people because it looks so much better for them, and they don't have to consider any long-term ramifications of it or any social problems that result of increasing this intake. Maintaining or at least increasing the birth rate of the natural population is surprisingly a more humanitarian way of managing your economy. By making the cost of having children more expensive, or even failing to reduce the cost of having children, people would turn away from their biological right to procreate because to them it might not be worth it. Whilst having children wasn't exactly for everyone, a lot of people who genuinely really wanted to have children will actually be turned away from it. When focusing on getting a more higher immigration rate, you're actually failing to recognise any negative ramifications of it. And you're bringing on so many more than would have happened if you had just simply focused on increasing the birth rate of your natural population. Mass immigration itself often means that there are quite a number of unskilled workers coming into an economy. It's a change from a more limited immigration intake that I was talking about before, where workers had to be either skilled or be able to fill jobs that desperately needed to be filled. With mass immigration, however, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, a lot of these unskilled workers are going to be taking the jobs of people who definitely could have easily filled those jobs who already live in the country. But on the other hand, if these people do not fill any vacant jobs, then they will need to be on welfare. So it is up to the current taxpayers of that country to fund them. And not to mention, as the rate of immigration increases, so too does the cocktail of cultures fail to blend as well. What was once a very easily recognisable culture, where most people universally knew what was right and what was wrong, and what is considered acceptable and unacceptable behaviour, it becomes buried and almost unknown. So I come to this conclusion: we are being screwed over. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe so that you can keep up to date with all my content from now on. Thank you.